Reece. And once again, our guest, David Reece, all the way in Italia.
Yeah.
Italia.
Come stai oggi?
Bene, bene. E tu?
Non c'è male.
Così così. Così così.
Cose, cose. Ah, bene. Anche io. Cose, cose.
We see how far we can get on this.
Yeah. Basic Italian will cheat. Yeah, everybody be there. That's the Italian. I go, come on, guys. You know, the New Yorkers would be like, really?
Yeah. Hey, Baptized by Fire, the new album with David Reece.
Yeah.
I mean,
Baptism
this is
by
an
Fire.
angry album.
Yeah.
Working with Herman Frank over there in Iron Allies, that was a pretty aggressive album. Did that have any influence on this one?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, it's hard to say. I just kind of the direction, the path I was following, And this stuff got a little more groove involved and more modern sounding solo album. And that's large in part due to the guys that I work with. They're a lot younger than I am. And, I just can't say enough about how great they are musically.
Dave,
they put feel.
I was going to say, you're kind of like, you remind me of Blaze. You just never give up and you keep going like a locomotive. No one is going to get in your way. No one is going to stop you. You will keep on creating music because that's who you are.
Yep. I make records as if it's I'm kind of in the mindset of as if it's my last work. I was thinking about that before we set up this call.
Mm-hmm.
What if this is my last record? Am I satisfied? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? I was kind of watching, my wife's watching a series and I was waiting to log on and I was thinking about, a lot of people say, Dave, you do something every year. And sometimes I do 2 or 3 things a year.
Yeah.
And what if this is the last record? Sometimes I think that when I'm finishing an album, I'll go, what if this is it? What if, the voice decides one day it's not going to be like it was? Because I told Jimmy a few days ago, when I can't do what I do live, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to fake it,
So let's talk about the Italian music scene. Where'd you find these guys, and what's the Italian music scene like over there?
Believe it or not, it's heavy metal is not as popular as thrash. Thrash and speed are like, there's a festival here called Lupolo they do every year. Let's say Friday night they'll do Jorn and me. We'll do, let's say 500 to 1,000 people. Saturday they'll do a Saxon. There'll be 2,000 people. Sunday, Exciter, Testament, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, to the gills. And I mean, it's hot here in July, humid, and they're wearing all black, leather. I mean, they're standing in that sunshine with that concrete floor all day and just go insane. So it's more of a thrash community.
So
and
it's
weirdly enough,
it's amore subito.
Yeah. Sí. Capito. Yeah. But, it's, how did I meet these guys? I mean, COVID. I mean, I was working with Percadani in Cedonio. And like literally the day it exploded here was 30 minutes from my house. I think we talked about that. He called me and said, don't come here. It's like a ghost town. I think it's a terrorist attack. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, the city's shut down. So that forced me into going, okay, now what am I going to do? And I'd heard about Riccardo Di Morosi, and he lives literally, his studio is 15 minutes from my house. So getting to know him with demo work, pardon me, we kind of grew to like each other and figured each other out, and it all just kind of grew from there. Then he brought in the brothers, Nelo and Niccolo Savinelli, because they're there doing teachings and stuff like that and recording all the time. So it all just kind of fell into my lap. And my test was that Hamburg show last year when I was asked to do that Bangalore Choir special one-off on Target show. I said, I'm going to use this band and see how they can handle it, because it was a sold-out show. and it was a big deal. And I was the headliner Friday night, and they killed it, man. We cut those tracks live and put it on that record we did last summer with Giles. And that's another thing about them. They push me. I mean, go to rehearsal. They're already there, running through it a couple times. I'll do a 90 minutes thing, and then I'll say, okay, let's go get a pizza or something. No, we're going to stay and rehearse the set a few more times. I'm not happy with this part and this part. I never see that anymore. It's refreshing.
Wow.
You know,
we're the old guys. We want to go siesta, right? These guys keep going. They're the young guys. They just keep going.
I feel guilty, you know. I mean, it's not safe for me to sing 4 or 5 days around 90 minutes and scream through all the parts, but they'll literally point out to me, you know, like Generation Clash, right? They actually were able to lift Wolf's voice off the intro, Generation, and then we start the song. I mean, they're really good at that, you know, because they're younger than me. They've got more tech savvy than I am. But if I sing something like not quite cool enough, especially the drummer, he'll point it out and he goes, "Hey, man, you're doing that wrong." I'm like, hey, I wrote that song. And they're like, no. And then they'll throw the song up and we'll listen to it and they'll go, "See that part right there? You're not doing that right." I'm like, wow, okay. So it's, you know, it's enjoyable. I mean, it's actual work again. Rather than sit in a hotel room after not seeing somebody for 6 months and, you know, a guy playing on a pad or a box, and then you've got the laptop and everybody's strumming along with their guitar against a chair, so you get some of the, you know, the reverberation. You can hear the electric guitar playing. You know what I mean? I mean, I've done a million shows like that, and you play them well, but I'd rather rehearse. You know.
Dave, I'm going to ask Alan a question. And I'm going to ask you the same question. Alan,
okay.
If this album, as brutal as this album is, came out instead of Eat the Heat, which I do like too, don't get me wrong. If this album came out instead of Eat the Heat, what would have happened? How would the Accept trajectory have changed?
If it was Accept?
Yeah,
I mean, Alan, that's a question to you. How would
I agree. I mean, that's an interesting question. I mean, this is a solid album. I mean, it's got, like you said, it's heavy, but at the same time, it's got a groove to it. Vocals are fantastic. Everything. The playing on it's unbelievable. Yeah, that would have been interesting if that, like you said.
Do you think, and Alan, I'm going to ask you the same question, Dave. I want you to think about this. Alan, do you think the fans at the time, the Accept fans, would have said, "Oh my God," instead of, "Oh man, it's not heavy enough," you know?
Yeah, no, I think it would have been better received than Eat the Heat, probably. Yeah.
Okay, Dave, now let's say this album was released instead of Eat the Heat. It would have been a completely different time.
I would have had a far better chance of winning over especially in Germany and some European territories. I mean, you're not gonna sway them. I mean, they were born listening to Udo. It's an impossible measure, but a better chance than Eat the Heat because it was slick. I think we've done your show a few times. If you listen to Metal Heart and Russian Roulette and the direction the band was kind of going in, they needed a voice like mine or someone else to kind of cross the pond and break the band. Because, I mean, from what I was told, they were never really exceeding 400,000 units. That was the max they would hit. And in those days, if you're not doing 1 million copies, you're bye-bye land.
That's what I heard, yeah.
It was, you know, you didn't even get a platinum party in 88. You had to do 2 million to have a real party. You know, it used to be a gold record was a big deal. But no, I mean, it would have had a better chance. And I think we've spoken about this before. Releasing Generation Clash as the first single, terrible mistake. I thought that from the minute I heard it. I said Ecstasy or D-Train opened the door to the Accept fans going, yeah, they're still a heavy band. And then kind of listen to the rest, you know, change the running order. Don't come out so different and scare the crap out of everybody. What happened to my band? That's what they did. But you put the suit and tie on, they could care less. I mean, it's a tax write-off. They don't care about the human nature side of it. I mean,
I'll give you an analogy, okay? You had Iron Maiden with Paul Di'Anno on those first 2 albums, which were like, we'd call it brutal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bruce comes in. He doesn't do a Generation, X kind of thing, right? Or Generation Clash, he does, what Paul was doing, but sort of he elevated it, right? In the sense
Yeah.
of bigger, right? I think that's what would have happened if this album came out instead of
There was,
Eat the
I
Heat.
mean, there was utter terror. What are we doing? I mean, walking around in that organization, my feet were never on the ground. I was never fully accepted, pun intended, in that group. They were terrified. What have we done? And they had written Animal House and a lot of great songs, and just for the Next Accept record, which I would have far preferred to have sang. I heard those demos and went, oh my God, you gave that to Udo? Why? Well, we wanted to make sure he was cool and everything. I mean, he's playing it live every night now. But he had far better songs, and he was still in that box that he was with Accept. So they said, here's the so-called Accept album we would have done with Udo. Let's write what Peter was doing with Stefan Kaufman for Eat the Heat. And none of them knew what they were doing, and they were terrified. And I think that's why it's so hush up. They don't, because nobody really knew. I mean, is this really the right thing to do? Everybody just kind of was being pulled around by the nose. I was a dumb kid, 27, 28 years old. I didn't know. I thought I was going to be the big rock star on the planet, But there's some great stuff on there. I'm talking to you guys. We talk about this album every time we talk.
Jimmy likes it.
Well, I mean, I did the UDO Steel Factory tour. They re-released Eat the Heat, 3,000 limited vinyl in orange. Every show I did, people come up to me and said, I'm sorry, I prejudge you. Forgive me for that. This is a great record. So if they can say that from 1988, and now they finally think it's great, it's kind of come full circle where people, you know what? It ain't that bad. It's pretty good. And I'm like standing there going, what? And they've even had original copies. I've never played this, but I've been playing it since I heard you doing the Udo tour. It's a damn fine record. And they all say, but why did you start out with Generation Clash? You should have done V-Train. Come out and shown everybody it was still a metal band. We got scared. And I said, I understand.
We all prejudge, right? We all prejudge.
Yeah.
Well, then there's other options too. I mean, you got to see what the competition is doing.
That's a good point too.
Back at that time,
Slave to the Grind was out, but the Faith No Mores and Soundgarden were kind of creeping in, and they hadn't exploded yet, but they were getting the airplay, and they were getting some MTV time, and it was a slight shift, and then it really hit in like '92.
But this is like a '90s album that you just came out.
Yeah. Well,
that's
a great
that's
thing
what I'm trying to tell you, that this was actually an album of that time that would have rolled the wave. And it's so brutal, that people would have, not that they wouldn't have not loved Udo and his work, but they would have said, you know what? I'm giving this a good chance instead of prejudging it because it's so glossy.
Yeah. I think they were so scared that, this change is going to be so drastic that Eat the Heat proved that they were right in their assumption. Like you said, if we'd have released this record, because these guys that I play with grew up with the bands that you're saying, this fresh, I don't want to say, this lockbox that we're in right now with, everybody sounds the same, but they grew up on Soundgarden. They listened to Nirvana. They listened to Zeppelin. They listened to Sabbath. I mean, everything. I get into the car with the producer, Ricardo, and he'll play me stuff on his USB. Who's that? And he goes, oh, that's a band from Slovakia. That's freaking great. He goes, yeah, they never get out of Slovakia, but I mean, they're insane names for these bands. But they know all these underground metal bands. They're really into that. So they brought that vibe to the record.
Yeah, let's talk about this album cover too. Who did this? This is a fantastic album cover.
Thank you. Richie Newton from Metalhead Forever wanted to do a shot at artwork. Excuse me, I had a cold and I'm fighting it off because I'm leaving in a few days to do some American days. And I said, I know the Chief is kind of like my brand, the Chief Skull guy.
Yeah.
I said, if we do it, we've got to improve it like they do with Eddie. Yeah. And him and some artists in Southeast Asia got together and created this maniac man of war's kind of metal, Schwarzenegger guy with the chief head. I'm real thrilled with it. It's Newton Artworks. I
like
if
it.
I said this, the album's got to be brutal. The t-shirt looks fabulous. Everybody loves the artwork. Hats off to Newton Artworks. I got to give them a plug.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. It sort of captures the tone of the album. Like it's gonna. There ain't no slow stuff here. There ain't no ballads. I mean, there might be sort of slow parts.
Closer to God might be, but it's pretty dark.
That's right. It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Again, like I'll say it like Blaze, he never gives up, and you never give up. Ever give up. And you've been like fighting.
It's weird. It's music, and it's like I talked to another guy the other day about. He said the same thing. I never quit. He mentioned Blaze. He mentioned Ripper. What the hell are we going to do? I mean, just because we suffered some defeat, we were thrown into the like what did Ronnie say with Rainbow or Sabbath? You stick your head in the mouth of the lion. If he bites down, there goes your head.
Yeah.
I mean, we were thrown to the arena, the Roman arena, with lions and tigers and bears. I mean, what are we going to do? Say, oh, I can't do that gig. It doesn't mean everybody's going to dig us, but we've all kind of risen above. And I've got nothing but respect for both of those men. I mean, Blaze, he's playing every night. Him, I mean, come on. Look where he's back. I mean, that's what we do, man. Yeah. It's like you guys. I mean, it's your passion for what you're doing right now. Yeah. You love to talk about music. You love to analyze it. You get to voice your opinion, a metal voice. It's what we do.
It's our 13th anniversary. Alan, where's the cake?
Congratulations. Happy birthday.
And you know what's funny? Today, here's interesting. It's Tony Iommi's birthday today, the beginning of metal, right?
Yep.
It's the Metal Voice's birthday. Alan, you did not bake the cake like we asked.
No time for baking.
No time.
Yeah.
And it's Todd Latorre's birthday too. So look at that.
Oh,
the Voices of Metal. Look at that.
And what was the number of the last Black Sabbath album at Ozzy?
13, yeah.
13.
Yes, yeah. This is 13. And Anvil, this is 13.
13, yep.
It's always 13. It's always 13. It's the lucky number.
Thanks.
All right.
So what's happening with the North American tour you mentioned? You got dates. How's this going to play out touring this new album?
When we kick off, we're leaving in a couple of days, and we had some difficulties like everybody, all these promised shows, and then big holes started popping up, and we got some confirmed dates in March. Then I returned to Scandinavia. I do a 4-day run, and actually the festival of the 4 days is with Blaze. And I've been talking to Appleton quite a bit, and we're thinking about doing a Blaze and Reece kind of ex-Iron Maiden, ex-Accept tour guy.
I like it, yeah.
We mentioned that together, and Appleton said, I kind of like that. I go, talk to Blaze, but we're doing a gig. We're doing some stuff in Scandinavia, and then I've got Grass Pop, Czech Metal Fest, Portugal headline, Bitten Germany with Iron Allies, and just those 4 gigs alone, that's over 200,000 people.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I mean combined, but there's some big dates. So Dave's getting a lot of exposure in the next few months, a lot better than it's been, guys, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I'm currently working with agencies in the United States for a return in July, and I confirmed Phoenix and Tucson yesterday. And then what my plan this time would be start there and move my way north this time.
Okay. So
Oklahoma, Texas, all that stuff's kind of floating around right now. I've been on the phone all day as usual.
So what's a set list look for that tour? What is a little bit of all your bands or?
Yeah, well, I focus a lot on Eat the Heat. I do Ecstasy. I do Generation Clash. Sometimes I do Hellhammer, and then I'll throw in the heavy down-tuned songs from On Target, like Just One Night and Angel in Black. And we're focusing on this record. Enemy Is Me, the first single, which charted, by the way, debuted at number 16 in the
Hey,
German metal
congrats.
chart.
Enemies
Yeah,
Me,
I
great
mean, this
song.
is the one that, I mean, Iron Allies didn't chart, and we were both shocked, Herman and I. We didn't even make the chart. This charted last week, number 16. I'm hoping it
Wow.
holds ground or it continues to grow, or stays in the 20s. Um, we're going to play a lot of that, and we just finished We've Lost the Fight, the second video, which is the second track on the album, I think. Yeah. And then at the end of it, I've invited certain artists to perform the chorus with me and fans around the world. We do kind of a pause, and then the chorus kicks in again, and then the album cover behind it. But I got Jalusic, I've got a lot of people that have stood behind me forever. I tried to get Giles to put Alcatraz Girls' School and Raven all together in the dressing room last night. Because I was editing, and he said, yeah, I'll get to it. And I never heard from him, but today was my deadline, so they didn't make it. But Giles is in there somewhere.
Okay.
But it's cool because, I mean, when your friends go, yeah, that's me in the video. I got guys in the snow, guys in the desert, famous singers that I admire, guys that are making noise. So that's the next video. And then on the Blaze show, we're going to be pretty oiled up, because that Blaze show is called Metal Fest in Husqvarna, Sweden. It's sold out. So we're going to film that for Tomorrow Don't Matter Today, the last track on the record.
Yeah.
Because that song, I picked the first and the end, and I got pretty lucky because it seems that everybody kind of struck a nerve with Enemy and Tomorrow Don't Matter Today. It worked.
Well,
So
to me, Enemy Is Me is an amazing song. We've Lost the Fight. That's a perfect. I think the intro riff is very 90s, reminiscent of maybe Marilyn Manson, but just at the beginning. Just
and that's exactly what Ricardo said. And he goes, that's John 5, Dave. And I go, John 5, I love him, but I don't know much about him. Then he threw up a video in the studio and go, like this riff. But I have to be honest, that riff was created by Andy Susamil, because he's a fanatic for Marilyn Manson. But we took it to the new modern song because we've got a younger guitar player, Niccolo Savinelli, who, guys, listen, when I looked at him during the record, I said, Niccolo, this last Extreme album kicked me in the nuts, okay? It did. Nuno Betancourt literally was on liftoff mode as a guitar player. It was fun to finally see another guy get out there, not overplay the song, but do stuff that just was like, what are you playing, dude?
Yeah.
It was great. So I said, go nuts. And he looked at me and goes, I can play guitar and I can go nuts. I go, yeah, and if I want to cut some stuff out, I will. But I gave the kid a chance to shine, and he really did. And my drummer, come on, man. He's in Iron Allies, actually, because Francesco had to take a leave of absence. And they said, who can we get to do these shows? And I said, Nilo Savinelli. And they're like, I go, he played on Martyrs Burn and Selling Out on that album. He just playing around in the studio with me. I said, you heard him demo? And they go, oh, that's that guy? I go, yeah. So he's done a bunch of gigs with us. So he's kind of the new drummer in Iron Allies.
And then you have
as well.
Tomorrow Don't Matter Today. And it's interesting because the stronger tracks seem to sort of come at the end. Usually they put the stronger tracks at the beginning. I don't know.
Yep.
That's my sort of observation. Acceptance of Denial, Tomorrow Don't Matter Today, brutal. And this bass sound you have, it's this high treble 90s industrial bass tone.
Distorted. That's Ricardo. He produced the record, played bass on the record, played some rhythm guitars. Some of the tunings are really bizarre. They're really on that, like the Jimmy Page stuff that not many people know that Jimmy Page was doing these really weird Arabic tunings that not many people are aware of, and just turn the distortion up and go, and you get that. Some guys like John 5, they understand it completely. They know that. That's where you get that aggressive. But I needed that. I needed a kick in the ass. I mean, how many Whitesnake kind of vocal style records have I done? I mean, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And thank God I can still sing it. But I mean, it's this album is, I don't know. I don't want to overhype myself, guys. I'm pretty damn proud of it, though.
No, I would be too. I mean, we didn't even talk about Wrong Move. That's another highlight on the album. So
First song we wrote together, Ricardo and I. And it was really strange because he started out with that distorted guitar that Jimmy was mentioning. And then I said, why don't you have Nicolo do it with the old, neck pickup on the strap? And then kick in. And then comes your Soundgarden, Bad Motor Finger era kind of, let's play with that guitar thing, the Kim Thale thing. And then we'll get 80s on it. And then we'll do Dave's melodic, what you expect from Dave, chorus. And somehow we kind of made it all, the pot of stew work. And the last song, Tomorrow Don't Matter Today, I knew I needed another song, and I looked at Nicolo, the guitarist, and I said, dude, what do you got? And he starts playing me this thing, and I went, what is that? So we programmed the drum machine. And Ricardo took it home and nurtured it and built this little baby and then brought it back to the studio. I wrote the lyrics that day, sang it, and then we put real drums on it and really made it a song. That's another thing. These are real drums. This is a band recording rhythm tracks together. It's not us in 5 different rooms in different countries recording a record. That's another really cool thing about living 15 minutes from these guys. Yeah.
I should mention, Dave, it's going to be really, I didn't say this before. I go, Baptized by Fire, it's going to be on El Puerto Rico Records.
El Puerto Records, yeah.
El Puerto Records. March
Yep.
1st, it's going to be
March
released. And that we should have mentioned that right at the beginning.
Hats off to those guys. I've got other labels that I'm working with, but I can tell you, El Puerto Records has really jumped in the fire. They're baptizing me, and they do great media work. They're always on the ball. I'm not chasing them around with emails. I speak to Matt Bishop every day, and I need that. I need that reassurance. Is this done? Did you follow up? He's like, calm down, it's done. Then he'll send me, and I need that because, we got a limited time scope here, right? With the attention span of a great album. You got your pre-order time, then you got about a month after it comes out and nobody's talking about it. Yeah. Billy's right now the thing that shows.
It's interesting. We were talking on the phone yesterday, and you told me that you got when you replaced Udo. I'm just going back in time because I find this pretty cool. Maybe Alan knows this or he doesn't. You had the nod or the sign off by Bruce Dickinson as the replacement singer for Accept, right? Maybe you want to just tell us about that. Absolutely. Really fast,
Really fast. Utter Panic. They advertised. That was my final audition at a club called the Empire in Cologne, Germany. We're sitting across from the venue. There's a line of about 2,000 kids. They advertised it as Germany's #1 metal band. They didn't say Accept. And everybody knew that they had a new singer, and they knew what was going on, the fans. So that they're standing out in this March cold rain. And a certain manager said, I've invited a friend to come and see and give me their opinion. And I'm like, oh, great. And who walks through the door in his Bonn captain's fencing uniform, but Bruce Dickinson. Oh, sorry, I'm late, mate. And he's reaching over, shaking everybody's hand. They've done tours together. How you doing, mate? How you doing? And I said, well, I'm fired. I'm done. That's Bruce Dickinson. I couldn't even talk. I was terrified. And during the set list, we're playing, and there's about 1,500 people in this place stage diving, going insane because we're playing the old catalog, right? We're not playing anything new. And I could see him standing at the soundboard with that person and doing this. And I'm thinking, while I'm performing, this guy's saying I'm a hack, but I'm giving it everything. Woke up the next morning, expecting to be sent home, heard the band talking, drinking coffee. They said, welcome to Accept. And I said, what did Dickinson say? And she said, he leaned over and said, hire the guy, and left. That I never talk about because there's little pieces of my memory in that because I was also told KK Downing was there. And I didn't see him personally, but apparently at this long table, KK was sitting kind of incognito and was invited by the band for their opinion on that as well. This was no joke, guys. I told you in the beginning of this interview. They did not know if turning left was actually left. It was total panic from the decision until they canned me. They were never comfortable in their own skin with that record. And I'll tell you what.
But that led you to a possible position or an audition with Judas Priest. I mean, just talk
Absolutely
about that.
did.
Yeah.
I blew that. I mean, I'll take the blame for that one. I in those days, I had done Circle of Silence with Greg Chason, and Dancing on the Sun, and those songs are way up in outer space. I could do that pretty comfortably, and I can still do it now, but not as consistently. Myself, Ralph Sheepers, and Ripper Owens were the three choices for Judas Priest. Now, the split up with Accept was ugly. Everybody knows that, and everybody knows everybody. And certain people that manage both bands know each other. One day the fax machine went off, and I got a fax from Jane Andrews. We've got your Circle of Silence album, and Glenn and I and the boys love it. Are you available for an audition? I mean, I almost shit myself. I said, I had been to LA, put Bangalore together. Grunge had come in and, destroyed all of our careers, or we probably did part of it to ourselves. But here I am getting faxes from Jane Andrews, Glenn Tipton's woman, who's managing the band now for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met Rob a few times years ago. And, I heard the stories, what was going on in the band. And I mean, I knew things were kind of weird. And then he went out and did his solo thing. But it kind of went on and on and on. And that's a big move for them, right? I'm ready to get on a plane and go to England and let's jam. I know from the first album to the now. I mean, I've seen you guys 50 times live. I mean, come on. So I get to Munich because I have to do a press campaign for the second Circle of Silence record. And the main editor of Metal Hammer at the time, a dear friend of mine, I'm in his office, and he goes, "Yes, I've heard rumors about this Judas Priest side. I think you can do it, man." I said, "Man, they faxed me like 10 times, and there's no solid answer. It's like, except on steroids. Nobody says yes, no." I mean, he goes, "Well, I have KK's name in my Rolodex. So what do I frickin' do? My stupid ass. I write a letter to KK to his home, and 3 days later, I'm getting a fax. I'm back in the States, and it's like, how dare you go around me and write KK? Who gave you his home address?" I kept my mouth shut because my friend said, "Don't tell him." So you basically just shot yourself in the foot. I mean, I think they pretty much figured out Ripper was the guy. But had I not done that, I may have been able to at least do a rehearsal. Mm-hmm. But I got kind of anxious. Like, come on, man, I'm in Germany. I mean, it's a 1-hour flight to London. Now, I'm right here. Just say yes or no. I mean, if and I'm sure there were some forces behind it kind of scaring them off. I mean, because I was out of my mind in those days. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. I was like every other guy my age. But
you never know how it would have turned out. You just never know. It could have been the other way around too, right? You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could have walked in and hit Victim of Changes and done it 3 or 4 times, and they went, "You're hired." That's the story I heard about Tim. 1 or 2 lines, you're in.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think when you told me the story about video, how stupid of me. I mean, I could have probably put together a great compilation, just mailed that along with their faxes, but you didn't think like that in the 1995, 94.
Yeah, that's a great story.
It was a flight. Story. It was a flight, and a guy picking you up at the airport with your name, and then you go to a rehearsal studio, and then the band trickles in. They give you the set list, and you do it, and they film you, and then they take you out and see how you drink. They all watch you, how you behave, and it's like a 3-day challenge, and then they send you home, and you wait by the phone to ring, or the fax to say thank you, but no thank you. But I made a mistake. It pissed him off, and I kind of laughed about it now lately. Because it's just go ahead, get mad, dude. I wanted the job. What would you do?
What? Yeah, I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I want the job. You're going to give me a straight answer, somebody, and then I didn't know they were having internal problems.
You're a go-getter.
Management.
You're just a go-getter. That's all it is.
Like you said, I don't quit. You say yes or no, I can deal with it.
I think we should ask KK about this next time, Alan.
Yeah.
Great question.
He was not happy. He was an unhappy man, from what Jane said. And I didn't know that he was in trouble with Glenn and they were having issues because of the manager and all that mess was going on. I didn't know that. So that
Oil
gave
on
him
the
fuel to
fire.
go.
You
Yeah,
don't know.
there you
You
go.
don't know. You
Now
don't know
you
how
see,
things
you're
will
not
turn out.
controlling
You
the
just-
band the way I wish it to be controlled. And so she looked bad because I wrote, you know what I mean? I just made a mess out of it.
This is normal. This happens. Stuff happens. You take
Yeah.
your chance, and whatever happens, right? If you didn't do nothing,
Yeah.
nothing could have happened as well, right? You don't know.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Jorg said. He said, Dave, you want an answer? Here's the address. I say, do it. I know him for 30 years. Write him a letter. I go, you sure? Yeah. And I did it. And
That's
it
what Udo
backfired.
did. That's what Udo said, right? Or maybe it was not Udo. It was what's her face? Gabby.
What do you mean?
Write a lovely letter.
Yeah.
Write a letter.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Write a lovely letter.
That's it. All right,
Hey,
back to the album. Go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
Thank you.
No, that's it. Dave's, I just hope he feels better. I know he's fighting a cold, so I hope he's able to have everything prepared and feeling
Dave,
good.
What would you like to say? Your final note before we let you go.
I agree with what Al said. I hope I'm healthy. And I know that the first night is a capacity of about 800. And there's 600 pre-sale because it's where I kicked off Minneapolis,
Nice.
my career.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a homecoming. And that one's going to be a monster. So I'm psyched about that. I want to be healthy. The band's rehearsing right now over there. I'm using American guys. I'm proud of the record. I thank you for the mellow voice. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary. And you're doing great things, guys. Great things.
Hey, congrats on this album, Baptized by Fire, David Reece. Unbelievable listen.
Brutal.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's all I'm going to say. Brutal.
New. We've Lost the Fight, March 1st. New video, new single, After Enemy coming out March 1st.
All right, Dave.
All right,
Wonderful
Dave.
talking to you, Dave. We wish you all the best. Keep us posted, and we'll have you back on.
God bless you guys. I'll send you some footage of that show on March 1st and let you see how it looks. All right.
Wish you much success.
Thank you very much, and wish me well because I had one of those right in the throat chest colds that would not go away. So tomorrow I'm going to the doctor, and they're going to yank the tongue out and examine my voice just so I can go. I'm okay because I'm singing every day. I'm fine. But just to keep my anxiety level, it kicked my ass.
It looks so good, Dave. It looks so good.
It looks good. Yeah. Secondo Passaggio. Let's go to the break. Okay, you're fine. Go on tour.
All right, man. Talk soon.
All right, guys. God bless, man.
Right.
When is this going out? Is this live?
It's live, my friend. It's already gone out. It's past tense.
Right on. Have a great day, guys. Or night day, whatever. Talk to you.